G'day guys, Ben and Simon here from Pumped on Property. Welcome to another episode of the Pumped on Property show.
I'm so glad I got this warm cup of tea here right now. It's like 6 degrees outside on the sunny coast, about as cold as it gets, hey?
Me too, man. Like it is
Cup of number 2 for the day.
so soft. I've been talking to people in Melbourne, South Australia and
I
Sydney
know.
all week, and they're like, man, you don't know cold. It's like ice here.
Yeah, legit. Like I was talking to a bloke yesterday who was driving back to Wollongong from Orange, and he's like, I couldn't even leave because we were snowed in Orange. And I'm just like, that is so heavy, hey?
Yeah. Look, I'm excited about this episode again today because we're going to share the 8 steps to buying your first investment. Now, this is so simple, and I wish it was this clearly mapped out when I was just getting started, because really it is a bit scary first time round, especially if you don't know the steps, you don't know the process, you don't know who you need. But in this really short, sharp episode, by the end of this, if you've got a pen and paper, you will know exactly what you need to do to confidently enter the market and find not just an okay property like I bought, but an absolute cracker like Simon got me first.
Yeah, we just want to make it super easy and clear. And it was really like, sitting down, it took us about 5 to 10 minutes to put these things together because, this is what Ben and I help people do all the time, create their initial strategy to get into their first investment property or second investment property or 15th investment property, wherever anybody's at. But every time you're ready to buy, it's just starting from the exact same place.
Yeah, so the first step is I'm going to buy a property.
Yep.
That's all you need to do. Like, decide that this is your investment vehicle, that property is the way you're going to go. And then that leads straight into the second step, which is the biggest challenge that all of us face as investors, and that is, can I buy a property? Now, there's either a yes, which is you've got the savings or you've got the equity in your home and the bank or your mortgage broker said you can, or no, you can't, which is pretty much what I hear all the time. And that means you've got to save more money, you've got to wait for your properties to go up in value, and you've just got to be patient.
Exactly. So if it's a no, generally you're going to get a clear action plan from your mortgage broker or the bank manager, whoever you've got that no from. And if it's a yes, then we move on to step 3, which is planning to purchase the property.
Now, planning's super simple, and this is what Simon and I love to do for ourselves, and we share different ideas with people as well. All planning is 4 steps.
Yep.
Now, identifying where you are right now and what you can borrow. Looking at where you would like to be 12 months from now and where you'd like to be in maybe 10 or 15 years from now. So 12 months from now, it's as simple as I want to own a property. 15 years from now, it's as simple as I want to create a passive income from my properties that replace my current annual salary. So long-term goal, short-term goal. And then from that, what we like to do is we like to honestly look at what's holding us back from achieving those goals up until now. Because for me, like, there was a whole lot of stuff around money that I had to work through. I also wasn't born with like a deposit or a trust fund, so I had to save money. I had to learn how to save. For a lot of people, you might be time poor. You might have a partner that's not supportive. What else do we talk to people about on a daily basis that stops them doing stuff?
A lot of people are just time poor as well. They just don't have the hours in the day to learn about this with, a couple of full-time jobs. You've got people that are really worried about making a mistake because buying an investment property is probably going to be the biggest financial decision that you make. So you don't want to make a mistake when you have to invest, $100,000, $200,000 of your own cash plus sign up to a 30-year mortgage. It's like you don't want to make any mistakes there. Also, a lot of people just don't have people in their lives to talk about this stuff with because even when I'm buying a bloody soccer ball or a tennis racket, I'm like, hey, Ben, should I buy this one or should I buy that one? You want to bounce ideas off other people. Like, we're social beings. You want to bounce ideas. And if you don't have those people in your life, it's like, fuck, I've got to buy this property, but I don't know if I'm buying the right property.
Oh, I was thinking about Barney Stinson from How I Met Your Mother, and he's always like, he's got a man for everything. Like, he's got a suit guy. He's got like a guy that can sort anything out. And it's like, You kind of want that in your life. Like,
Oh, hell
I've
yeah.
got a mate that I can call for anything and know that I'm going to get what I need. But it's like, you know, I think a lot of people suffer from analysis paralysis. So it's like, learn. Oh my God, I feel like confused.
Too much.
Maybe you're living in Sydney and Melbourne, but you don't want to spend $1 million to buy a shitty home 20 k's from the city.
Yeah.
And so you're looking to invest in a market like that's outside your comfort zone and outside what you know. Like that's another challenge. But you know, the biggest one that comes like at the heart of it all for first timers is, for me, generally the fear of the unknown.
Yeah, fear of failure.
You know, generally a smaller deposit for that first place. So it means like it limits your options around what you can buy.
But the good thing about awareness of your challenges is as simple as that. It's awareness of the challenges, awareness of the things that are holding you back, because the only way that you're going to overcome them is understanding that they're a reality in your personal world. So, you know, challenges can be important, and then it's kind of really nutting out your property investment goals, your specific property investment goals, which is based off how much you can borrow, whatever purchase price you're going to be going for. So, you know, let's say that's $500,000, then you start to go, okay, if I can service $500,000, if I can buy a property at $500,000, how can I make the best decision from that?
For sure, and some good questions for yourself to answer with your partner or on your own is, am I looking to buy short term or long term? Am I looking for a house, a townhouse, or a unit? Am I looking at a metro market or a regional one? Am I looking for something with strong capital growth potential? Of course you are.
You
always.
should be.
You know, where am I on cash flow? Like, am I looking for something with great cash flow, or am I looking for something that will just break even?
Or something that's negatively geared if you need those benefits.
You know, do I have a team of advisors, which we'll talk about more in a moment, that can support me with the decision, or do I have to find those? You know, what are some of the other questions that we normally ask around property investment goals?
Do you want it to be like an existing house, or do you want brand new? Do you want it to be like how far from the city do you want it to really be?
Do you want it to be like tenant ready, or are you looking for a little bit of a
renovator
renovation project? Like these are all good questions that you can ask, and each one of them is going to take you closer to a clear strategy.
Yeah.
So as Simon said, once you know your budget of 500k, you know you want to buy in Brisbane, you know you want a big block of land, you know you want to be within 30k's of the city. It starts to like really shape what you're focusing on. And this is what all of this is about. Focusing versus like looking at every single thing in the world like I used to.
It's kind of like what you've got on your vision board. It's like the daily decrease, but it's like the property decrease. It's like, what am I not going to buy? Well, I'm not going to buy this. I'm not going to buy that. I'm not going to buy this. I'm not going to buy that. And eventually it's going to refine that strategy down to ideally what we want is 1 to 2 suburbs.
100%.
That's it.
You know, when you get to the point where it's 1 to 2 suburbs that you're focusing on, all of the noise goes away, which leads us to sort of our fourth point in today's podcast, and that is understanding the market. So once you've reduced it to that individual suburb level, you can start looking at the demographics properly. Then you can start looking at the recent sales on realestate.com and domain, the recent rentals.
You can start understanding the suburb at a very granular level. So what we like to do is create a sales map. That's where we look at the sales history for the last 6 to 12 months and put a dot point in a specific color indicating below median house price, at median house price, or above median house price. And after going through that exercise, you're going to really be able to understand exactly where the good areas of a suburb are and the bad areas of a suburb. What it's also going to help you understand is where the main roads are, because you really want to be avoiding the main roads and buying on the nice, quiet, family-friendly, owner-occupied streets. And yeah, just slowly, once again, decreasing the properties that you're not going to buy.
Now, let's say that like tonight, right, you know that you want to be buying in St. Kilda in Melbourne.
Yeah.
And then you jump on Google and you print out a map of St. Kilda, and then you open up the sold section on realestate.com, and as Simon said, everything below median value is in red.
Yep.
Everything in median value is in orange, and everything in above median is in green. What you'll start to see is clusters of good quality properties selling together and shit ones or cheaper ones selling in clusters as well. Now, I don't have a problem with buying cheaper pockets of a great suburb, but if you can afford to, like buy the better spot. But then what I do is I then open up like Google Satellite or Google Map, and I will start to mark on the map that I've printed out in red all of the roads that I don't want to buy. Now, this will only take you such a short period of time because you're just looking for the roads next to cemeteries, industrial, retail, commercial, main roads.
You can easily see them. Like you can easily see them. Bus routes, you know, if it's backing onto a train line, if it's nearby a highway, you know, if it's directly opposite a big school or a big sports complex or something like that. What we like and what we do as a rule of thumb is just buying the quiet areas, just buying the nice quiet streets.
And you know, you kind of might be sitting there going, why would I do that? It's so that for the next 3 months that you're looking on realestate.com every day, before you go and spend 2 to 3 hours a weekend inspecting properties, you can just literally, I don't even look at the home. I just, when I click on a realestate.com listing, have my little map next to me that I've already created. And I look at the map and I go, main road.
Yep, done.
Back.
Yep.
Save myself half an hour of looking at the property or an hour on the weekend going and checking it out. Like, do the things once so that you can, like, save yourself time in the future. I was listening to this biographics thing the other day on Abraham Lincoln. I love that too because he's, like, the original underdog. But he's like, you give me 6 hours to cut down a tree and I'll spend the first 4 hours sharpening the axe.
Yeah.
It's like, spend your time sharpening the axe so you save yourself all of the pain
Seriously.
down the line.
Seriously. Because it's an emotional fatiguing process finding a property, and, you know, it's just about what not to buy, not what to buy, and, you know, focusing on what's worked best in the past.
When you get to that point where you've got that little map and you start to know a suburb well, you'll find that 9 out of every 10 properties don't meet your criteria. So instead of having to look at 10 on the weekend, you look at 1.
Exactly. Then you want to build some rapport with the local top performing real estate agents as well, especially in a hot market. So the way that you do that, there's an epic website called Rate My Agent. You can literally type in the suburb or the postcode, and it's going to give you a bunch of different agents that work in the area, prioritized by number of properties sold. Generally, the top performers are the ones that are selling the most properties. They know the area the best, they're the most trusted agents, and they're getting the best results as well. And then with that list, start contacting them, giving them a call. G'day, I've seen your property. You know, I'm really interested in coming to have a look at it. Can we meet at the property? And then you meet them at the property in person and you educate them on your position, your goals. Hey, I'm fully pre-approved. I've done all of my research. I really want to buy a property in this suburb, but what I'm looking for is X, Y, and Z. And then he or she will put you in their pipeline and you'll get all of the updates and you'll get all of the, you know, potentially you'll gain access to off or pre-market listings to get a little bit ahead of the market.
Yeah, or even, you know, there's one question that I ask agents, because we're talking to some weeks 10 agents, some weeks 30 agents, is, you know, when I call them up about this listing on realestate.com, do you have anything else that you haven't put online yet that you're bringing to the market in the next 2 weeks? And almost every time I ask, a good agent will have between 1 and 3 properties that I can just go, thank you, I'll have a look at myself, and then I'll come back to you later on this afternoon with a text message to say yes or no. And it's like, it is no more complicated than that. And which brings us to the 5th step. And I think this is the funnest part of the process.
Hell
personally.
yeah, it is.
It's when you start looking.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, I know the suburb. I know that I want a house. I've got my little map. Now I'm on realestate.com and I've just set up my alerts so that every day they're just getting sent to me via text and email, so I don't have to jump on there and look for them. And I start going to open homes every weekend or every month until I find the perfect one.
Now, we will not even look at realestate.com until we've nailed steps 1, 2, 3, and 4. So that's an important thing to do. Like, don't waste your time. Don't waste your emotional energy until you understand exactly what you're going to buy. Don't bother looking, because then it's going to make it easier. You know, there's going to be heaps of awesome properties in the market, but that awesome property might be selling for $650 when you can only service $500. So
be patient at this time. No matter how hot the market feels, you are not going to miss out over 15 years. So be patient, wait for that right one, don't sacrifice, and just absolutely trust there's another fish in the sea and it will come past your way. And there will be times of the year where it's extremely hot, and there'll be times of the year like right now when it is ridiculously easy to buy because everyone's forgotten about their New Year's resolution at the moment, and all the families are just trying to get through the year with school right now.
Exactly. And what you want to do when you're looking is physically inspect the property as well. So drive through the suburb, drive down the street, physically walk through the property, take some notes as well, get a bit of a better understanding of the feel, the floor plan, the block, the
Take
slope.
some notes and some photos. Such a good point, man. Because most people, like, if you inspect 3 properties in a day, you'll forget them.
You'll forget, or they'll come like combined together. I remember when, you know, I was doing the inspections for our clients, I'd inspect 12 properties in a day, and I'd jump on the phone to the property acquisition team, and they're like, oh, what about this property? And I'm like, oh, I can't remember. How the hell am I meant to remember, like, you know, 9 properties ago? But we have an application that we use that we've created about, what do you reckon, 180, 200 points of different things about the property. When was it last, how much was it last sold for? Why are the owners selling the property? How big are the bedrooms? What's the quality of all of the different physical aspects of the property, like the paint, like the stairs,
room by room? Like, is the aircon working? Is the dishwasher working? What is the quality of the street? Would you live on the street? And then we attach like 80 to 100 photos, and so it's like, just in case you forget, which I do, like both of our sisters almost have photographic memories, but I don't. So I have to create a process that works for me, that I can make smart decisions with after I leave.
Exactly.
You know, when I got started though, so like that's where we are now, and that's obviously what we get to do as a business and for ourselves. But it's like, when I was starting, I would go and inspect 15 properties sometimes on a weekend with my mate Macca. We'd just drive around. He'd have a few beers while I was driving from like during the day.
Love it.
We'd have one notepad with 12 properties, and I couldn't even remember which one was which. Like, you know what I mean? It was like...
And, you know, back then, you're probably inspecting like 9 that you didn't need to as well.
Fully. It was like the agent I'd called, and I'm like, look, I'm coming up.
I got this,
like,
that, and the other.
I'll take you to all of the shit ones until I take you to the perfect one at the end, and then you'll buy that. You know, it's the old agent trick. But, you know, it moves us to the 6th point, and that is making an offer.
Yeah.
Now,
scariest part.
Making an offer is scary unless you actually understand the market well. Now, if you've been looking at the maps, you've been looking at what's sold, you already know where the property should be at.
Yeah.
There's 2 questions that I ask an agent in this current hot market before I make my offer. One is, what are you looking to get for the property? And almost always they won't answer it. So I'll ask another question, which is, when you won the listing, what were some comparable properties that you showed? Often most agents won't tell you that either. And then I'll say, as a third question around price, well, if you can't tell me those, that's cool. I'm just going to be a bit cheeky. Like, what are other people saying about it? And sooner or later, the agent's going to get the shits and just tell you roughly within 20K where the price is at.
And the purpose of like the step during what step was it? The top agents in step 4, like when you're building that rapport with the agent as well, like the better your relationship is with that person, the higher the likelihood that you're going to be able to get some of this more detailed information that they may not be telling to other people, which will help you understand what it's going to take to buy the property.
You know, because you've been buying like between 1 and 6 properties a week, every week for like 5.5 years now, these agents know us. So I make the call, we have a laugh, then I ask them, or they just tell me straight up, this would buy it. I've already got this offer. And it's like, they shouldn't be giving us that, but they will over time because there's trust, and they want to work with someone that's easy and someone they know.
Yeah, they want to get the job done as well. Like, it's literally their job to sell the property. Like, it's a two-way street.
And I say that to them all the time. I'm like, I want to buy, you want to sell, and your client wants to sell. Like, let's just have some fun doing this, because their job can be hard and it doesn't need to be. The second question that I ask is equally important, especially in this hot market, is what is your plan from today to sell this property? Are you open to selling it to me before the weekend, which is my goal, because I don't want to compete with 40 people on the weekend?
Yeah.
Or if you are, you know, not going to sell it to Saturday, are you going to collect offers on Saturday and present Saturday night? Or are you going to give people till Monday? Now, it's important to know how much you got to pay for it, but it's equally important to know what their plan is. There's no point if they're going to not sign it up till next Monday, give them your best and final offer today on Tuesday, and then them wave that in front of everyone else's face that walks through and go, I've got a 600K offer, which they will do. And then all of a sudden you're paying $630 for a place that if you had just waited till Monday morning, gave them a call and said, hey,
how'd you go?
Like, you got a few offers. You know, they're not going to tell you what they are, but it's like, if I was to submit an offer below 600, would that be considered? No. If I was to submit an offer above 610, would that be considered? Yes. It's like, there's so many ways that you can ask better questions, and these aren't hard questions. Like, you can pause this, rewind this podcast, ask those 2 questions, and you will be shocked. It's a 3-minute conversation at how much better your pricing will be on what you buy.
I think just coming back to what you said earlier, it's like you want to buy, they want to sell. These questions are easy to ask. You know, the real estate agents have been asked every question under the sun. You know, it's not going to be the first time, and you know, they're in that type of occupation because they enjoy negotiating. They enjoy that journey, that process. So yeah, just have a bit of fun with it. It doesn't need to be so scary and serious.
Give them some banter. They love the banter.
They do. They love it.
Fun. Their lives are talking to people that waste their time. It's like, if you can be fun, if you can be direct, if you know your stuff, you know, and if you can be nice and kind, like, people
get a win-win.
Just want to work with people that are kind. Like, life doesn't have to be this drudgery and this heaviness. And it's like, we bring that to the agents, and because of that, they bring us all of these off-market deals. I think Tay found 32 last month.
Yeah.
Like, insane. Like, 32 properties that no one else in Brisbane saw just because she was friendly.
Yeah, that's it. And then the next step 7, is once you've got the successful offer. So the agent has called you and said, g'day, John, you are the highest bidder and the property is now yours. You know, this is where you really want to protect yourself. And it's where you start moving into the due diligence phase. So this is where your solicitor comes into play, or conveyancer, your mortgage broker, your property manager. We like to talk to town planners. We like to talk to, you know, construction specialists if you're planning on doing anything like that. And this is the time where you need to double, triple, quadruple check absolutely every single aspect of the property to make sure that it 100% aligns with your strategy and with your goals for that purchase. And if during any period throughout that due diligence phase that a red flag gets brought up by any one of those partners, you walk away and happily walk away knowing that that property didn't meet the criteria and you've got to get back into it.
You know, things that could force you to walk away from a property, and this is important to know as a first timer, because there's a lot of stuff that will scare you, that when you talk to the building and pest inspector on the phone or the solicitor, they will be able to educate you through. And there's 100%, like, at least 1 out of every 20 properties we buy is terminated for a reason. That reason could be no final building approval.
Yeah.
It could be
flooding zone
that wasn't picked up.
Yeah.
It could be there's
a landslide overlay.
There's a landslide overlay. It could be the fact that you know, for example, the property that we're looking at yesterday, when we talked to the agent, all of the piers, which is the concrete under the ground, needed to be re-underpinned, which means the house is sinking and falling over. Like, there could be termites. You could be wanting to do a granny flat, and on that particular property, the frontage is not wide enough after talking to the town planner and you can't do it. Or maybe there's an easement in the backyard that you couldn't see that will not enable you to do that. Or maybe the car parking doesn't work. Or maybe the solicitors found something, like the title search is wrong, or the agent's selling it as a single standalone home, but it's actually a duplex and the subdivision hasn't gone through properly. Like, so many things can come up, which is why you really want the best people around you to double check and protect your ass, because you're not going to pick up all those things because you don't have 15 to 20 years of experience like your advisors should have. And
you're not alone there as well. You know, this is where you really leverage off your team to get the result, like to get the job done. So, you know, it's kind of hard. Like, how would you find, like, if you're about to buy your first property, how do you find a good solicitor? How do you find a good building and pest inspector or property manager?
they're the three that you absolutely in any state in Australia need. And in some states, you'll be needing to do work with them before you place your offer. In other states, you'll have clauses in there that the solicitors put in for you that will enable you to look after you bought it.
Like in Queensland, it's great for the buyers. We can put lots of terms in there. What we like to put into our clients' contracts and our personal contracts up here is a 21-day finance clause, a 14-day building and pest clause, and a 14-day due diligence clause.
And on top of that, the due diligence has got like 15 parts written into it by the solicitor, and then you've got the cooling off period in the contract too. Like, these are all things that enable you to have time to do your due diligence and to protect yourself better. What was your question? Because it was really good.
How do you find a good partner?
I found them through referrals when I originally started out.
Sure.
I think, people can Google. People can, ask their mum or dad or a partner. They can ask a colleague. I think the best way to get a good referral, though, is to, ask someone who's done it, that's ahead of you, that has like had a good experience, and ask them more questions like, what was the experience like? Were there any troubles? Like, were there any red flags? Was there anything you didn't like about the relationship? Like, I know this is like a lot, but to get an above average outcome, you have to get better at asking questions.
Yeah.
Or alternatively, you can partner with someone like us. Like, we introduce our clients to accountant, solicitor, building and pest inspector, town planner, certifier, builder, renovation company, mortgage broker, what else? Tax depreciation specialist.
An insurance, an insurance guy.
Broker. Like, it's like a property manager. Like, with those 11 or 12 different people, like knockdown specialists, engineers, like electricians, plumbers. It's like, if you can like walk into a relationship where you've already got all of those established contacts with people that are actually good at what they do, that someone like me or Simon, who's like extremely particular, has absolutely put through the washer for 5 years, it's like that can massively help as well. And you can sidestep a lot of that pain by just at least having someone that you can rely on and having a shitload of protection in your contract.
For sure. And then if everything goes all good, you just really want to walk through to settlement and get that property ready to rock and roll from settlement. And then, that's step 8. Step 8 is the end of the journey. You've settled on the property. It's now in your hands. If it's an investment, then essentially that's just where you handball the property over to your property manager, and they look after it from there on through.
An important step that I'm getting better at is celebrating when I do good things. I think, settling is beautiful, buying is beautiful, but enjoy the moment, because it doesn't happen all that often.
No, especially as property.
Yeah, of course. And then, at that point, you can make your life easier through a good accountant and through good practices. Now, I get all of my rates, all of my water notices automatically emailed from those companies to my property manager. I also send my property manager an email at the start of the year just going, hey, I would like to aim for this rent this year. When the tenant moves out, I'd like you to organise a building and a bond clean, I'd like the whole outside of the house to be washed down. I'd like the grass weed and feeded and the grass and all of the gardens cleaned up. And it's like, yes, that's an expense of like $1,000 to me each time I lose a tenant, but it means that the next tenant has to pass the house over in the same condition, and it protects my asset. I also personally am getting the habit of going through my own properties once a year with a checklist and just going, here's all the little things that I want done. Because I am at a point now where I've spent 500 grand on this asset. I do want to protect it. Like, I do want to double check it like it's my own. I want to make sure my manager's going through 3 to 4 times a year. I want to make my life easy for my accountant by, collecting all of the costs and all of the income and then giving it to them so that they don't have to connect all those dots themselves. And instead of wasting time connecting the dots, they're spending the time strategically looking at ways to save you money in the system that they can legally do that at the moment.
Love it. It sounds like a lot, but it's not when you actually think about it. And once you've got all of these people around you,
one step at
a time. And it starts with the decision. Step 1, decide what you're going to do. Then number 2, can you actually buy? Can you service the purchase? Number 3, start to create that plan, start to develop exactly what it is you're going to buy. So what not to do, basically. Then it's understanding the market like you've never understood any other market before in your whole entire life. The sales history, this sales maps, the flood zones, the main roads, all of those little intricate pieces that you need. Then step 5, starting to look, but not looking until you've covered the first 4 steps. Number 6, starting to make some offers, starting to purchase some properties. Then number 7, protecting yourself with a great team of advisors. And number 8, settling and celebrating.
It's so awesome, man. Like, I'm super grateful to be able to bring this stuff to you guys. Like, I know there's a bit to it, but
nobody achieves financial freedom easily, right? Like, that's what I like to come back to. It's not, nobody's going to come and go, hey, here's a 6-figure income for the rest of your life for nothing. It's like, you need to work towards it.
You know, you're looking down the barrel at the moment for most Australians or most investors of probably 40 to 50 years in the workforce.
Yep.
And we're sharing ideas that may mean that if you're smart and strategic, you can get out of the workforce within 15.
Yep.
And so it's like, you know, spending a year figuring out some of this stuff so that you only have to work for 15 years versus the next 40 or 50 is the reason why we are so granular. Like, we could keep these videos and podcasts so much higher level and not share anything meaningful, like 90% of the content out there. But it's like, I want you to know what we know so that you can do better.
Yeah, exactly. There's enough properties out there. There's enough money out there for everybody to be killing it. And, you know, we just want to hopefully break down the bullshit and start giving some real advice.
Fully. So, you know, we wish you all the best, whether it's your first investment or first property altogether. Like, stay safe, trade carefully, take time. It's going to take longer to figure out this stuff than you expect. But, you know, I've only been doing it for 11 years now personally for myself. We've only been doing this now for 5 years as a business. Like, all of these things have slowly come with time. And I promise you, if you start this journey and niche in and focus, over time, you're going to get exactly to where you want to be. It's probably going to take, like it has for me, a lot longer than you expected it to. But that's part of the fun of life. Like, enjoy the journey and know that once you are financially free, that's when the choices start rolling in. Like, to do what you want to do, to spend the time with the people you want to spend time with, and to become the best version of yourself for the people around you.
Absolutely. And please share this video with somebody that you've got in mind that you've been thinking about throughout this video. You know, it might be a partner, a friend, a colleague, a nephew, a son, whoever it might be. So just share this, you know, get the good word out there and start, you know, spreading this sort of information. And, you know, give us a 5-star review. Like we've provided some pretty epic info in this one. Just so flick us up a 5-star review. And then, you know, if you want to stay up to date with, you know, more granular information, data updates, property tips and tricks, then head over to our Instagram page, Pumped on Property, and follow us there, or our Facebook page where we post the same stuff, Pumped on Property, and give us a like. And then we've also got the YouTube channel, which you may be watching this on anyway. So subscribe, and, you know, we're going to just try and keep bringing you this information, try and keep bringing you new ideas or different ways about thinking about the property market, and hopefully get out there and start building that portfolio and slowly but surely moving towards creating a life full of choice and freedom.
You know, it hasn't been easy for either of us, and I want you guys to remember that. Sometimes it's like, oh my God, Ben and Simon, you know, making this harder for me than I want it to be. But it's like, we're trying to protect you and look after you from the things that you don't know, and we are genuinely trying to get you to that next level. Like, there's layers to this stuff, and we're not trying to build a little residential slab so that you can have one home for the rest of your lifetime and pay it off in 30 years. We're trying to create a foundation that you can build a life off and a skyscraper off around choices and around passive income and around better decisions. And for that, you have to go a bit deeper, and it's a bit harder because you've got to uncover more of yourself. But trust me, like, it is absolutely worth it for the person that you'll become, and we're so excited to be on this journey with you. So thanks for your time, guys, and can't wait for you to jump on the next step with us as well.
Oh, sweaty. So sweaty.